Hi there, and welcome to our latest installment of Arts and Culture in Quarantine. Um, I'm Sarah Clark. I'm Historic Richmond Town's Diversity Coordinator, and I'm here today with Dominique Hood, who is our Diversity and Inclusion Intern. So before I ask you any questions, Dom, the first thing I want to do is thank you for all your hard work and everything you've contributed so far to the work of diversity, equity, inclusion, and access at Historic Richmond Town. You've been already, in the short time that we've been working together, you've been a real asset to the department, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
And for the benefit of anyone who's watching us, would you just say a little bit about what drew you to the diversity and inclusion position?
Absolutely. So as Sarah said, my name is Dominique Hood. Normally I'm a historical interpreter, but I've also been working as a DEIA intern, and it's been super rewarding, and I'm really happy to be able to do it. Um, what drew me to DEIA work was, I think, if I'm being completely honest, a little bit of adult guilt at my teenage nihilism. And so when I was faced with things such as a lack of diversity in a certain sector that I was working in, or if I noticed that certain groups had less access to materials or resources in a cultural sense from certain institutions, it was often very easy to throw up my hands and be like, oh, well, there's nothing to be done about that. Because that stuff just sucks, and it sucks when you're the type of person, when I think like a lot of us, who can't turn off noticing it. You can't just make yourself blind to it. I could start quoting Bob Dylan lyrics, but I won't. But it's hard when you're just that kind of person. So this is sort of me making amends for all those times I sort of turned away from a hard problem. So it's incredibly rewarding for me to be able to do this work finally in my life.
Yeah, I feel the same way. A chance to make a difference. So
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. And I'd like to talk a little bit about, in particular, what it's like doing this kind of work, diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility work, during this time when we're all working remotely right now because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm in my house right now, and you're in your house right now. How has that impacted your work in this area?
This is actually kind of interesting, because I never noticed this about myself, that I needed to sort of compartmentalize the different work that I do. Normally, it's it does it on its own, because throughout my day I'm driving to my first job, and then I get out of my car, and then I drive to my second job, and I get out of my car, and then I drive home, and it's like, okay, now I'm home. But now all that stuff is happening in the same apartment. So I found that I actually have had to do work for education department, and then say, okay, I need to go walk the dog right now, and then come back and start doing work for DEIA. And that's sort of how I've been artificially breaking things up and sort of getting my head into the right space for different work. So that's just a little example of something that I've been dealing with since we've been home.
Mm-hmm. Any projects that you had started working on while we still had access to the facilities at Historic Richmond Town, and how has the work changed now that you're not there?
Well, I can tell you for for sure, I had, you know, some, tentative proposal ideas that I was working on, that I had this sort of scribble notes in my journal as to, all right, here are the next steps. I'm going to go see these people at their office, and then I'm going to call this person and meet up with this person. And oh, and this person's going to a potluck at this church, so I'm just going to be there, and then I'm going to talk to them. And like, none of those things are happening anymore. So there's a lot of things got scratched out of that journal. So I've definitely had to reanalyze how I'm going to reach out to people, how I'm going to bring in uh, a sense of a social grouping in our neighborhood, or in an adjacent neighborhood, or somewhere in the borough, that normally is open and has avenues to connect with them, but now because of COVID-19 has sort of closed ranks, as we all sort of have, I think instinctually, even in our own personal social groups, in order to prevent harm or prevent the virus from spreading. So that's like a lot of work that I've been doing for DEIA has had to have a complete rewrite since this all happened.
Yeah. Now, if you had to choose one aspect of our work that you think is going to be even more important, even more critical as we move forward through the pandemic, and I guess even after the pandemic, what part of this do you think is going to be more important than you even ever realized before?
Okay, so I'm going to definitely say that it is the A at the end of DEIA. It is definitely the access points that I think are going to definitely take the biggest hit from all of this. Not to say that anything else is less important, or not to say that it's one of these kind of scale situations, but access is definitely the thing that we are going to need to focus so hard on, because when I hear about a lot of this amazing work that other museums are doing, that you've done a lot of work in sort of connecting us with, and so through you, we've gotten to see like this little window into other museums and how they're handling it. It's we need to really tackle this, because there are museums that are doing curbside pickup of materials that you can do with your kids and stuff like that, and we really need to be on the forefront of trying to reach out and provide access to these people. There's this one event we had, a Halloween event, and this longtime recurring patron of Historic Richmond Town showed up, and he was in a wheelchair, and he was at first kind of very upset because there wasn't any ramps that he was expecting to be there, and I sort of went sort of personal guide mode, and I just sort of found someone to cover what I was doing, and then I went and got ramps for all of him, and I was able to put together a sort of a list of things that he could do during this event that he would have access to, and that connecting it, even though I wasn't the one that was doing the things that he was enjoying, just being able to facilitate his access to those things was one of the most rewarding days I've ever had at Historic Richmond Town. And so I foresee a lot of that in the future.
Awesome. How about regarding Historic Richmond Town's larger mission to give people opportunities to explore the diversity of the American experience? Do you think we're still doing that even in this current remote mode? And how do you think the current situation is affecting our ability to fulfill our mission?
Well, I think for starters, it sucks. It sucks really bad. I think it's definitely affecting it. I think also that there's an energy that is in Historic Richmond Town. I know every time I drive to work, instead of just sort of putting my head back and being like, oh, I don't want to be here. When I show up to Historic Richmond Town, I can't wait to jump out of my car and, see people in the parking lot, be like, hey, how's it going? So there's definitely an energy that is going to be missing because, we're not holding events on the grounds right now. But that being said, I think we're doing a really good job as far as the arts and culture and quarantine series, and like the staff library videos. And I think you can sense, like, you come to our website and you can sense there's an outreach going on, and I think that is really important, and I think that's really has been well handled so far, and I just hope we do more, and I hope we keep pushing further and reaching out to more people, because there's so many people on this island that feel as though Historic Richmond Town is not for them, and that's what you and I are really focusing on changing, so that no one on this island thinks that or assumes that. And I think there's a lot of work to do in the future, and this is definitely a big hurdle.
So hopes for the future, how you see us getting from here to there, or what the vision is?
Well, you know me, I want to I have very ambitious plans about ride shares or getting together transportation to provide that access point from people who are on neighborhoods that are very far away from historic Richmond Town, and I have a lot of sort of starry-eyed ideas about getting cultural groups that are not acclimated to participating in our larger events to come and set up a tent and feel welcome. So I have a lot of hope for the future, and I have a lot of brightness in my eye. Maybe sometimes too much, but but the eye is bigger than the stomach, that whole thing. But I'd rather shoot as far as I can than possible than not shoot at all.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And I think also that partnerships are going to be a big part of that. So one of the things I'm really looking forward to is even while we're working remotely, hopefully staying in touch and getting in touch with new people, new groups that we haven't worked with before. And so that when we are back out there, we're going to be ready to work together with other groups, maybe, and as you said, having other groups come in and set up a tent, or getting us out there to do things, different places, different events. So I think we're going to be so happy. We're going to be so excited when we get a chance to do that. So now we're laying the groundwork so that when we open up, we'll be ready to run. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Dom. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me today. And I'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon.
All right. See you.